All right, we're going to keep us moving along today. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Eric Lee, who is Executive Director of the Americas for Alvanon. And Eric's going to give us a talk about solving e-com headaches, the promise of sizing and fit. So we all know part of why you're here probably is that we understand that e-com is packed with challenges from excess inventory to returns and stuff like that. But Eric is here to talk about a little bit about how product and fit teams might just be the key to solving these headaches. By rethinking sizing and fit, we can absolutely cut down returns and bolster customer satisfaction, all while just driving sustainable growth. But it'd be better if you heard it from him. So I'm happy to welcome Eric to the stage. Hey, Eric.
Hi, Brooke.
You there? Amazing. Take
I'm
it
here. Can you hear
away.
me?
I can.
Great.
You sound great.
Perfect. I'm super excited to be here, and thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm just going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about how we as an apparel industry have this enormous opportunity to improve e-com performance. And to do that, what we have to do is really better understand our customers, in particular when it comes to sizing and fit. When I'm done, I'm hoping you'll have a little bit of a better understanding of just how important it is for our e-com teams and our product teams to connect and share information. So first, a quick little intro about me. I actually started my career off in financial services before switching to apparel. In 2011, I worked with international brands entering the Chinese market, and I was looking after their marketing and e-com programs. Then in 2017, I made a switch and started working with brands to get digital product creation programs off the ground. And then last year, I switched again. I moved to Alvanon, and I'm working with apparel brands to solve sizing and fit challenges. So I've really had the opportunity to work up, down, and across departments of these apparel organizations. And I've really gotten a sense of how siloed we all can be. And conversely, I think I've been able to see where we can have huge wins by working cross-functionally. So to get straight to the point, I want to zoom in on e-com and what's important to an e-com operating team. And you can usually boil down most e-com metrics to be about just three things. Number one is revenue, obviously, so how much you sell. Number two is going to be inventory, what you have to sell, and what you have to sell maybe, which of course is going to affect markdown and marketing tactics, etc. And finally, number three is going to be returns. And that really wasn't a thing brands worried about so much before apparel e-com came around. And guess what? When you buy something online, you don't get to try it on before you buy. And I'm going to focus right now specifically on this returns piece to illustrate how, with better communication between teams like e-com and product design, we can really begin to solve a really big issue. Namely, there's information out there that the customer-facing digital teams have access to that really needs to be traveling to the people creating the product. So talking returns, let's take this data point. It's from 2019, and it's 53% of all online apparel returns were due to size and fit. Or in other words, you liked what you saw online, so you bought it. But when you got it in the mail, you said, hey, it doesn't really look the way on me it looked on the model, right? That means more than half the time people don't keep something because it's an issue of sizing or fit. So if you put your shopper hat on, you know this checks out. And by the way, if you're in the chat, why don't you please post some comments if you agree or disagree with that statement that size and fit are generally the most common reason you return clothes online. Well, the industry knew it was a problem too, because e-com business boomed from the COVID years on. Back in 2019, when everyone started staying home more, our industry as a whole introduced and actually doubled down on all kinds of different solves for returns. So we had better reviews. Who doesn't check reviews before you buy, right? We know social proof is super important. A lot of reviews now feature the user's size and fit comments. You've seen reviews where you'll even see the user list their height, weight, and the size they bought, so you can kind of have a frame of reference. So super useful. Size charts. We've all become amateur tailors, and when I go to IKEA, I definitely pick up a few of those extra, the free paper measuring tapes, and better model photos. Sometimes we do extra photo shoots to capture different models and body types. Over here we have Angelina. She's 5'11" and wears a size 4. Fantastic. She's got like Angelina Jolie's body. And of course we have the size predictors. Amazing. You enter your stats, you get a size. And again, it's more ways to match a customer to their best size for this particular product you're browsing. So it's all great steps in the right direction to solve this returns issue we're dealing with. And we went from 5 years ago with 53% of returns due to poor fit or size to now today 58% due to the same reason. So it went up. But guess what? The apparel product being returned actually went up as well. So it's even more returns due to sizing or fit. So while we're trying to do a lot of different solves, I think it's fair to say it's still very much a work in progress. And what you're seeing here is that a lot of the ways we're trying to solve returns are band-aids. And if you put your shopper hat on again for me, haven't we all bought from a brand where we're super happy with the fit of a shirt, but it turns out you have to buy a different size in a different product type like sweaters? In the chat, if you would, please let me know if that's the case. You had to buy different sizes for different products for even the same brand. Now, if we're having the customer figure out their size in different products, instead of making our products all fit the same customer and consistently, we're kind of playing whack-a-mole and not solving the real issue at hand. So firstly, let's make sure our sizing is consistent so the shoppers who fit a size medium shirt can keep buying medium, not only in shirts, but in sweaters and in jackets and in dresses and so on and so forth. And that would obviously be a great starting point. By the way, if you didn't check out, I think it was Bershka yesterday had this really awesome session. They made a ton of progress standardizing their sizing and implementing a size set. And they were able to drop returns, I think it was 10%. So it was really great. Go back and give it a listen if you're interested. And to continue, the answer really is, again, we need to know our customer. And I mean, really actually know our customer. Why are they returning the stuff? So again, put your shopper hat on for me. When you go return something, you usually get a screen like this asking why you didn't like it. And if you're like me or you're like most customers, you're clicking the easiest answer or the first answer so you can just get straight to that return shipping label. I would say that return reason is pretty unreliable. But let's take a big leap of faith, let's say for a second, and assume that the feedback is actually reliable and the shopper is thoughtful filling out this return reason, which we know isn't the case. But if we find a particular product keeps coming up as, let's say, too big, what does that tell you? Does too big mean it's too long or too wide? Is it because the sizing was inconsistent and you needed to buy a smaller size? The problem with too big is no one really knows what to do with it. It's not actionable and it doesn't teach me anything about this shopper. So what I'm really trying to say is often there's a disconnect between the teams from the product to the marketing to the selling. So think product creators use a fit model or a fit form that represents the customer's body. And fantastic. The dress gets made for that body. Then they get a photo sample and they put it on a photo shooting model. And this is our photo shoot team now, right? By the way, remember that photo shoot with the model in the dress, Angelina? She was 5'11" and a size 4. And the dress fits like a glove, right? Well, let me tell you, when I worked in e-com and I managed model photo sessions, we did whatever it took to make the product look amazing. Even if that meant pinning the dress in the back to make a regular fitting dress look like a form-fitting one. The objective for that team is to make sure the dress is as attractive as possible to get the shopper to put the item into the cart. So of course, the shopper sees this beautiful form-fitting dress on that tall, skinny model. Shopper, she uses all the e-com tools we talked about earlier, finds her size and places the order. 3 days later, dress arrives. She tries it on, turns out, surprise, it doesn't look on her the way it looked on the model, right? So she returns it, sends the feedback, too big to get the shipping label. And then what does the e-com do now that all the dresses are being returned? Of course, they're going to discount the dresses. So now we have too much dress inventory for the quarter. I've been in those e-com meetings, and when the e-com operating team sees that dress sales are down and dress inventories are up, the response is, let's put a discount to rid that inventory, or something like a promo, a gift with purchase, so we can sell more dresses, buy 2. So it's really actually more whack-a-mole, and it's not that team's fault. The levers at that team's disposal as an e-com team is discount and promotion typically. And I'll admit, even when I was an e-com operator, that's how I behaved. So all of that is to say, we work in silos. And I still find this situation to be the case today with the brands that we work with. So the question is, how do we solve it? And the answer really is we have to work together. We have to address having this feedback loop. We need to create a system that allows the customer-facing teams, like the e-com team, to actually collect actionable information, and then share that actionable information to the people making the stuff. So ask yourselves the questions, is our sizing consistent in the first place? Is it standardized across categories? Do we even have a size set? If yes, great, you're on a great start. Now, what is the customer telling us? Turns out, based on the info we gather from these customers, our medium should, have a wider hip, or our customer is taller than we thought. So let's consider a tall size set. How do you start? E-com teams and product teams align on metrics together, actually. So what kind of feedback are you gathering from customers in the first place? Is it reliable? Is it actionable? And if it's not, we have to get it there, right? Once it is, e-com teams, you have to share that info with the product teams. So product teams, you can help e-com by defining the data that's useful and, again, actionable for you. So all of that is to say, this communication creates this huge opportunity for our teams to work together, both across categories of different product types and across functions like the e-com team and the tech design team. And by doing so, we could really solve some big, hairy problems like returns and other things. So get the right products to the right people, sell more, and waste less. That's it for me. By the way, quick shameless plug, if you know Alvanon, chances are your tech design teams are already working with us on sizing. We actually have a solution coming out that'll work with your e-com team. It's going to help you gather actionable body data about the shape of your customer's body. And I can tell you it's going to be wicked. If you're interested in that or anything that I talked about in this past 10 minutes, I'd really love to talk to you. Here's my contact info. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric. That was really, really, really good. No, I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate sort of, just taking us through the e-commerce pipeline, if we will. There's so many different teams that have to touch product before it goes on to, websites, and a lot of them, to your point, work in silos. But it's nice to see that, everyone's just sort of doing their job. But I think it's about connecting all the dots. And our next panel is going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So thank you, Eric.